Yo, what up, guys? So the plan for today is to fill up my inventory with more living steel and distilled fears. So that means helltides and nightmare dungeons only. That's it. Nothing else.
We shall not falter, even here.
Come out, everyone! Look up!
Yeah, other than that, it's just gonna be a pretty boring stream. Yeah, I haven't actually been playing as much as I want to in the past few days because with the recent launch of the 5000 series video cards, I've been spending a lot of my time refreshing my screen trying to get one. And unfortunately, I have not been successful. Yes, unfortunately indeed. But that's okay. I will get one eventually. Just have to keep trying. Okay, what else do I need to do? The Harbingers. Okay. I need to find these spires because all I'm really looking for right now are the cinders, and that's it. I don't necessarily need the grim favors. Big chunky boys. So yeah, trying to get a 5000 series card. It reminds me of when I was trying to get my 3000 series cards. And you know, back in the day, in 2020, they were all saying supply chain disruption because of COVID. We can't get the supply in. And I was like, okay, I mean, that makes sense, right? It was happening in a lot of other sectors, and there's no reason why it wouldn't apply to video cards. So yeah, I just kept F5ing, and I eventually was able to get one. Though I didn't try to get it on release. I did get it maybe a month after release. But now there are no supply chain disruptions. The world has moved on from COVID, and there are no supply chain things. But there's still not a lot of supply. It's a paper launch, just like the 3000 series. So yeah, just F5ing. I need to figure out a few things to try and get one ASAP. Because once I am able to get that video card, then I'll be able to stream to Twitch, multi-stream to Twitch. Because what I'm streaming right now, it's too much for my 3080, my little baby 3080. Because I'm sort of dual encoding right now with my YouTube stream and then the vertical YouTube stream. Yo, Lumen Pala, welcome to the stream. Oh, Murder Nerdson, ya Olekseni. I don't know what that means, but if I had a guess, because I don't speak whatever language you're speaking, if I had to guess what you're saying, I would say, I'll translate that as, I have to murder other nerds. Which, I don't know why, but it's a bad translation, which is why I'm actually confusing myself. But yeah, if it takes a month to get the video card, then I will get it in a month, I guess. But yeah, I thought
Will be tested.
since Nvidia was like not producing any more 4090s or 4080s or 4000 series cards at all back in September, I thought they were building up stock for the launch. But no, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. Yeah. I mean, if they were producing cards since October and this is how much they were able to get, then that is really, really bad news. Because essentially, you're not going to get anything for a super long time because it's just really, really slow to make. But that's not what I've heard from everything I've read. From my understanding, they have only been producing cards for like a couple weeks before the launch, which is absolutely crazy to me. So maybe the stock will stabilize sooner rather than later once they ramp up, but who knows? Only Leather Jacket Man knows. And it's pretty much the sentiment today that there's going to be no restocks on Sunday. Restocks on the weekend are relatively rare, it's all during the weekday. So I'll be refreshing during the weekday. Oh, there it is. That's what I was waiting for. Ah, the distilled fears. I do need those, but what I need the most of are the exquisite bloods. I need the exquisite bloods. Alright, just making my way to the mystery chest. Slowly but surely. And I think I'm strong enough that I won't die randomly. Oh no. I just need more cinders. I need a total of 750 because there's 3 mystery chests to grab. This triple zone area. Ooh. A soul spire, baby. Yo, YM asks, does it sound like a toilet flush or explosive diarrhea? Hold on, let me see. You know, it is like watery, the ability, but I've never had a diarrhea that sounded like this. Yeah, but at the same time, I've never had a toilet flush sound like that either. Yeah, like it's like I would say more like like you're messing with something that has the consistency of milk, where it's like not like water, but a little bit thicker. And it's like you're shaking around a gallon of milk in the jug. Neither of those sound like a toilet flush or diarrhea. Don't know what to say. I would say if those are the only 2 options, then I would say that it sounds the closest to flushing explosive diarrhea, but I've never heard a flush like this because, yeah, you're not messing with straight water. Well, I don't know what else to say. Bro. When it says get enough cinders, you get 3 chests plus those in Nahantu. Yeah, except there's no helltide right now in Nahantu, so I only need 750 cinders rather than the full 1,000. But yeah, I do need the living steel, but the most rare material out of all of them is the exquisite blood. Yeah, I need those exquisite bloods. Oh, I'm stuck. Boom, baby. Subo. Alright, I just need 50 more cinders. William asks, did you try PoE 2? Yes, I have. I streamed it and I made a few videos about it, but the game is still a work in progress. And I've never tried PoE 1, but even playing PoE 2, you can sort of tell that it's still a work in progress, and they're adding a lot to it. But as far as the game itself goes, I thought PoE 2 would improve from the reputation that PoE 1 has, where the reputation that PoE 1 has is essentially you can't play the game unless you're following a guide. And like you can't deviate from the guide whatsoever, otherwise your build is gonna fail. It's like it's that rigid, or at least that's the reputation that it had. I've never played PoE 1, so I wouldn't exactly know. But in terms of PoE 2, it hasn't really improved, in my opinion. It hasn't improved on that reputation. I am a PoE refugee. It gave me BP spike. Wait, PoE 2 gave you a spike in your blood pressure, or PoE 1? PoE 2 gave you a blood pressure. Oh yeah, PoE 2. Okay, yeah. So essentially, that's kind of my assessment of PoE 2, is that it doesn't really change from PoE 1 in the sense that you still need to follow a guide in order to enjoy PoE 2. Yeah. And like there's a lot of mechanics in that game where it doesn't teach you, and that's very, very unfriendly. There's a lot of other things that I thought were cleverly designed that made it friendly, like the skill gems that drop, and you can essentially switch out the skills as you're leveling, and I thought that was really cool. Though there are some downsides to the system that they've implemented, where like you can't like outgrind the content. So if the content is legit too hard and you can't pass it during the campaign, then you're kind of screwed. Because yeah, you can level up and all of that, but the passive skill tree where you can grind out those levels, they don't, with the exception of like a couple nodes, a couple of big nodes, it doesn't really change the power that much on your character. So yeah, that's all I'll kind of say. I really don't like how it doesn't really tell you anything about the end game at all. And as I was playing, like a lot of people that were in my chat were telling me this or that, and I'll just ask the same thing, like, okay, how am I supposed to learn this in game? And everyone kind of said the same thing. LOL, you don't. I'm like, okay. So for PoE 2, it's a game that you have to decide that you like the game before you play the game. And like once you get over that big initial learning curve hump, then the game becomes better. But that learning curve is still massive in PoE 2, unfortunately. So if someone were to ask me would I recommend Path of Exile 2 to them, I can't blanketly say that I could recommend Path of Exile 2, which is unfortunate. I mean, yeah, like a lot of the PoE 2 fans want to say, oh yeah, like there's no questions you need to ask. Path of Exile 2 is obviously a better game, but that's not true for the, like, I guess I'm saying that's not true for everyone. That might be true for some people, but Diablo might be better for others over PoE 2. Like there are situations where I would recommend Diablo 4 over Path of Exile. And it's not like super niche either. It's they're big considerations. Like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend my girlfriend play Path of Exile 2. Like I made my videos and then I showed her and she's like, "Yo, that game looks exhausting." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it kind of is." It's like, "Yeah, I'm not interested in playing that game then." And I'm like, "Okay." Like when she said that, I was like, "Okay, this might actually piss some people off that are diehard PoE 2 fans then, you know." And that was definitely the case. A lot of people were commenting about how like I'm the problem with the game. The game's not the problem. I'm the problem. And I'm like, okay. Like for everyone that wants to, shit on Blizzard and essentially move everyone to Path of Exile, they're doing a great job at it. And then that's sarcastic, by the way. It says, I'm a level 89 Titan, total death count 228, made me question my existence. Oh, I don't remember how many times I've died. It was a lot. But yeah, I think I'm level 92, maybe 91 Stormweaver. And yeah, I really don't like how they sort of force you into a hardcore mode, even though you're playing softcore at the end game, where if you die once in a map, then you like lose the whole map, and it's like, oh, so this is a step towards hardcore without actually being hardcore, right? Like, okay. and they really don't like the idea of. I heard a snippet of the developers, and they were saying like there needs to be a punishment for dying, and they think that losing the map is an appropriate level of punishment. And I think it's a little bit too punishing, right? Because like even when Diablo 4 came out and the Nightmare Dungeons were out, like having 4 deaths for each Nightmare Sigil, that I think that's fine. But to say 1 death instead, I think that's too much. You can see by typing /deaths on the chat box. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, I think my deaths are more than 228. Because yeah, I do fail a lot of maps, which it's really hard because I try to make like my farming videos and stuff, and dying just makes that take a lot longer. Dying, you lose more than just a map. Oh yeah, I understand you have like you lose experience and all of that stuff too, but like when you're just like stacking punishment on top of punishment or dying on a map, it's like, okay, why? Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, I understand that, you know, leveling to 99 or whatever, there needs to be a sense of accomplishment there. And you need to, like, prevent the bots from doing all of that and everything like that. But it's way too much. Because, like, there's a lot of times where I just die randomly and I don't even know what happened. I don't even know how to evaluate what happened. So, yeah, like, yeah, after playing, I think I was like at the 150 hour mark in Path of Exile, and I'm like, I still don't understand all the basics here, where these are rules that exist in the game that I'm still not aware of, and I'm like, why? And I remember making a short about that, and some people were like, I've never played 150 hours in a game and not know the basics. And I'm like, well, okay, it just sounds like you think you know more than you actually do, right? But not knowing the basic rules of like the essence, like, okay, when you grab the essences, you essentially upgrade an item and you're guaranteed an affix or a suffix from like these certain buckets, but I don't know what's inside each bucket. So is that me not knowing the basics, or is knowing what is inside of each bucket like an advanced thing? I don't that doesn't really make 100% sense to me. And then to say like, oh yeah, you need to look outside the game to figure out what's inside each bucket. Like, what is a physical modifier versus a cold modifier? I'm like, okay, well, which one does all skills plus all spell skills? I don't know. Or is that not available through the essence system? Like, if I had the list of that in game, then I would understand, but it might be just too complicated for that to be added to the tooltip, which, if that's the case, then yes, that is unfortunate. But I mean, maybe they just have more bigger priorities to address than making it easier for new players to engage with the end game system, it's yeah, that transition is pretty rough. But I think I heard them say that they have some work to do there, and they want to do some stuff there. So that's good. Maybe that'll make it more friendly. But I don't think you're ever going to be able to get away from requiring a guide in order to play Path of Exile 2. Like you're required to follow a guide when playing Path of Exile 1. Otherwise, you're gonna just not be able to do anything that you want in that game. Yeah. Also, as far as my experience with Path of Exile 2, a lot of what contributed to my negative experience, unfortunately, was on the technical side, which is very, very, very unfortunate. Because I was one of the people that was affected by the crash bug, where if I'm playing for 40 minutes or so, my whole computer crashes to the point where I need to restart my computer. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I tinkered with it a little bit, the settings, and I was able to figure out like how to prevent the crashing. One of the steps involves like disabling the multi-threading engine, and that is really, really bad. So instead of running the game at like 120, 130 frames a second, I'm stuck with running the game at 40 frames a second, and it'll sometimes dip to 15 frames per second, and it's just really, really horrible experience. I either crash to the point where I need to restart my computer, or I run the game at 40 frames a second. So there have been times where I was playing, the game would do calculations that it needs to do, dip to 15 frames a second. I can't tell what's going on. I can't control my character, and then I die and I lose the map. And it's just like, wow, okay. Very, very unfortunate. So yeah, other than that, I mean, Path of Exile is a cool game. Yeah, not for everyone, and you need to basically follow a guide. same as PoE 1, I guess. But okay, let's see here. Let's see. William says, guide and trade is mandatory IMO. Yeah, I mean, as far as trade goes, I was playing solo self-found, so I didn't have any interactions with the trade, and I also didn't really do anything, or I didn't have access to the currency exchange either. There was a few people in my chat that were like, yo, can you talk to this NPC or this vendor and see if you have access to these options? And nope, playing solo self-found. And yeah, so I'm looking for like I'm looking for an everlasting gaze, and it's not showing up. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm screwed. It's like playing Diablo 2, and you're trying to find a shackle, but it's just not dropping no matter how hard you farm, right? But if you traded, you would have it like day 2 guaranteed. It's a relatively common item that's really strong, and that's what the everlasting gaze is. It's a relatively common item that's strong, but can't do it. You cannot do it, which is unfortunate. Yeah. And yeah, and I don't really like the idea of trade being mandatory just because I don't want to look at a menu all day. And honestly, it seems like Path of Exile players are not actually interested in playing the game. They just want to trade the cards or trade the gear, and that's it. Right? So that is not fun either. But it is what it is. Yeah. So yeah, I completely understand why you're saying trade is mandatory. But yeah, well, I guess like a lot of players that play PoE 2 are ones that essentially play the game to build wealth. And if that means building that wealth by looking at a trade menu all day, well, I guess that's what they're gonna do. Yeah. But yeah, I don't 100% like the idea of how trade directly competes with actually farming and playing the game and providing that rich loot experience. There are some there I guess there are like a lot of pros and cons when it comes to trade, right? Because yeah, trade gives value to the items and makes it like a lot more sought after, rather than, you know, oh, the item drops and it's a different color or whatever it is. Yeah, trade definitely provides that value, but at the same time, it short circuits the gameplay loop 100%, right? Why do you need to farm 100 maps when you can just trade in 30 minutes for an everlasting gaze?
Formidable.
Yeah, so all right.
Don't ruin all that.
Okay, let's do a quick dungeon. I don't know which one's fast. Let's just do this one. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, with all the problems that I have with Path of Exile 2, I mean, I did enjoy the game as I played it. But yeah, it's not it's not as good as Path of Exile 2 players kind of make it out to be. It's not the unicorn. So, but it is what it is. They've acknowledged the work that they have to do, and they're in early access. They're going to bring a lot more content to the game, and yeah, I'll play it if it interests me. Yeah, but honestly, like, I might just farm in a different game. That game being World of Warcraft. I'm just kidding. Actually, I don't know. I might do that. What comes first? 100 Arthas runs or Invincible? Yeah, because like there's a lot of, because I stopped playing after Shadowlands Season 1, and I didn't even play that seriously even when I was playing Shadowlands. I was doing like the PvP and stuff, but yeah, farming those raids for those mounts, that could be great content. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Need to grab the blood orbs. Ah, 6 living steel, baby. Yeah, I after I'm done with season 7, I think season 7 is gonna be a pretty short season for me because there's not much that I want to do in this game for season 7. I mean, the witch powers are cool and everything, but I want more items. And what they need to change is the whole target farmability of some items. I think they're just way too easy to get, and the game is The game needs more focus on the items. Better items, more items, and yeah, better ways to farm them. Yeah, I mean, I think there's like, whoa, that's a huge upgrade. Damn. Yeah, like if they take like half of the items that are target farmable and remove them from the pool and just let them drop out in the world, like, or maybe have them do nightmare dungeons, like just the best items come from nightmare dungeons,
That looks worn.
but like not target farmable, but you know, you just have to do like 100 or so. I think that'll be really good for the game. Cause yeah, it's too easy right now. Boom. All right, let's see here. Let's masterwork this a little bit.
Use it well.
Wow. I don't need that much armor. Wow.
Never seen something finer.
I hit armor twice. All right, sweet. I now have 1,000 armor. Okay, so this is gonna be a short helltide for me, boy. Oh. Oh, I missed the Blood Maiden. If I just focused and went straight there, I would have gotten it. The Blood Maiden. Boom, baby. Done.
It is done.
Feast, lamb, feast. a tortured effigy to summon the Helltide Commander. Boom. Okay. I just need to slay harbingers. Alright, I'm almost to the first one. I need to find some spires. They're really good for the cinders. Oh, all the way up here. Oh. Another Helltide Commander, boys!
Will be tested now.
Alright. No. just need 120 more cinders. Then it'll be back into the nightmare dungeon for me. Where? Oh, it's like, where are the blood orbs? Oh, Helltide assassin. Assassinated. Alright, where's the box? Right here. William says D2 still had the right balance for drops. I feel like I have to think about that one. The issue with Diablo 2 is that like the majority of the drops just were obsoleted by the rune words when 1.10 came out. And that I think is very, very unfortunate. Now, I will say that Diablo 2 has a good pace for rewards, but there's a lot of different systems at play there that, I mean, I think Blizzard is sort of missing when it comes to... Oh my god, jeez. Like, can I just get out here? Yeah, so like at 1.10, which I guess is what everyone thinks when they think of Diablo 2, the the level of rewards, or rather the pace of rewards, was really good, I think. Right, when you're playing and you like farm the countess, you like, okay, I need like 4 runes for my starter build because I only technically need 2 items and all of that. I think that's fine, but when it comes to end game farming, it's really hit or miss. Yeah, because like I remember, like I have a lot of D2 farming videos, and like it kind of like depends because everyone has their sort of own different standard of what they're expecting out of a game like Diablo 2, right? Like I remember talking to my friend who was like, I was like, yeah, like my
For whatever you need.
like the longest drought that I've ever had in Diablo 2 was like 2 hours or something. And he's like, oh, well, no, my drought is like way longer. Sometimes I have a drought for like days, right? But the issue with that conversation was that we actually weren't talking about the same thing. Even though we were using the same words, like what he would consider something that would break a drought is something that I had, like that I was not considering in the same way. So in that sense, Diablo 2 sort of has that flexibility with the players to be like, okay, yeah, like I can customize sort of like my experience like the way I want to, where a lot of modern games right now, they don't really have that option, if that makes sense, because everyone's experience is the same because you don't really have that difference that players can sort of choose, right? Like you either get a mythic unique or you don't, right? And they sort of improved upon it in Diablo 4 with the greater affix system, right? So like I said, oh my god, I'm so happy that I got a 1 greater affix item versus someone has that flexibility. It's like, oh, I'm looking for a 4 greater affix item or whatever. And yeah, I think Path of Exile is missing that. And Diablo 4 is definitely missing that. But Diablo 2, it's different. Like they have that advantage that I don't really know how that can be recreated in Diablo 4. But the runes that they have there to kind of grant that flexibility, it really, really helps out the game for sure. I don't know if whatever I'm saying makes sense, but that's how I feel. But YM, you are 100% on the right track when you say the right balance of drops. What needs to be a priority is the pacing of the rewards, right? And there's a lot of different components to that, because there's something that's like really, really good that you don't necessarily want to be too common. And that's like really, really powerful drops are balanced out by the drop rate. But you need to be able to get whatever you're looking for every now and then. And that pacing rewards, I think, is a bit off in Diablo 4. I think it's a bit too deterministic, and they need to have a whole set of loot that's not target farmable. Like you can farm for it eventually, but to say, okay, once I have 50 runs worth of Duriel, I can expect 1 mythic unique or whatever. I think that's too much. So the pacing of rewards is too deterministic. It needs to be more random in Diablo 4. And then in Path of Exile 2, the items are not... I don't know what word I'm looking for, but like the items, they're not impactful, right? Like, yeah, they drop every now and then. I mean, every map I was getting a unique item, which like is nice, but the most powerful items are rares, and like you're just looking at rares all the time, and it's kind of like the difference between watching a basketball game versus like a soccer game, right? When in soccer, when you score a goal, when the team scores a goal, it's a really big deal because it doesn't happen that much. But in basketball, like you're like the teams are scoring all the time, and it's it's just like part of the game, right? And that's kind of how Path of Exile 2's loot feels when you're just looking at rares all the time, which I find a little bit interesting because when Diablo 4 came out, that was kind of the game that everyone complained about. Like, why are you making me look at so like rares? I wanted to feel the impact of legendaries. But I guess it's fine in Path of Exile 2. I get a little bit confused by that. But yeah. Get the pacing right with the rewards, and you're good to go.
Over here! Help!
Oh no. All right. Dungeon number 2. You know, I still don't know how to effectively farm for exquisite bloods. Because yeah, waiting for the blood maiden only for the blood maiden to drop 2 exquisite bloods. It's really inefficient. I don't know how. Maybe I'll do some looking in my inventory. Because I thought there was a way to target farm like a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I was just talking about target farming being too easy. And yeah, technically you can target farm the exquisite bloods from the blood maiden. It'll just take forever. And you gotta spend all of your little baneful hearts or baleful hearts.
We're going to make it!
Boom. The corpse tendrils.
Take this, my friend. It's not much, but I hope it helps.
Boom, baby. Oh, I just need to open up the chamber door. Oh, I just explored the whole thing. I don't even know why I did that. Boom. Whoa, a flicker step. Ah, the jailer key to open up the locked door? I was gonna say jailer's door. Oh, locked door it is. Damn. Alright, if there's a treasure goblin, that must mean there might be a butcher around. Ah, there's still fears!
At least I can put my skills to use.
Oh no! Alright, I should save the flicker step at least. And then we delete everything else. Do Betrayer's Row. Illidan! Alright, come on. Alright, bloodstone, baby. Alright, open the door. YMS, do you have a day job? Yes, sir. I do. I have a regular 40-hour-a-week job. So I work in software, but I'm not a developer. But I work in software. So I do work from home every day. So yeah, that's why I don't really play as much as I want to, because like that's why my videos sometimes are slow to come out, because I have 8 hours a day to do that job, and from there I spend a lot of time farming, recording my footage and all of that stuff, and then I spend a lot of my time editing as well. So I kind of talk about how much time it takes to edit, and yeah, for me, like, it used to take a lot longer, but I've cut this down. But essentially, it takes probably around like an hour of work to make 1 minute of finished video for my YouTube videos. So, and that's after I've recorded all the footage that I am looking for. So after I do my last run of whatever I'm farming, I then like from that point on, and then whenever I put time into compiling the information, getting all the stats, organizing the video, recording the voiceover, doing the actual editing, the exporting, making the thumbnail, and all of that, the ratio comes out to about an hour per minute of video. Otherwise, I'll be making a lot more videos if I didn't have my day job, but it is actually kind of hard to concentrate on video editing for long periods of time, because normally I'm like multitasking something else at the same time. So right now with my stream, yeah, like I'm fully dedicated to my stream, but it's a little bit more engaging because sometimes the chat's going and I'm farming at the same time, and that's fine. But if I'm farming off stream, which I do quite often, I have like a podcast going or a YouTube video going at the same time. But with editing, I legit can't do that, because editing has a audio component to it, and like I can't multitask something else while video editing. So that's kind of what it is. And so yeah, I don't have a lot of time. So like when like people ask me, "Oh, can you try out this game? Or are you gonna try out that game?" Like it's a much heavier question than like, yeah, it's a much heavier question for me than the average person, because I can only really play one game at a time. And if a new game comes out and I play that, right? Unless it's like a 9-hour story game or something, I have to like essentially move a whole bunch of my workflow, I guess you could say, into like that new game. So when people are like, "Yo, are you gonna play Path of Exile 2?" It wasn't as like, "Oh yeah, I'll try it out for a few days." right? Like I have to think about it from like a content creation perspective. Okay, what kind of videos do I make? How much time am I gonna put into this? Blah 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 blah. And that's actually one of the things that was kind of hard about Path of Exile is because the game itself, or like the end game, is just really really long, and it like for me to do 100 maps to farm something, I'm dedicating something like 24 hours of game time just to farm those maps because my character is kind of slow, but the maps are really big too. Like when I was playing Diablo 2, the longest thing that or the longest activity it took for me to run was doing cows. And cows were like average 9 minutes, 10 minutes a run. That was like my average time. But for maps, which is like the only thing that you farm, it's average 10, 11, 12 minutes a run. Like that's crazy. And on top of that, if I die, I just straight up lose the map and I lose all that time, right? And like if I, die to the boss or whatever, it just adds to all of that. So yeah, it's a really really slow game. Now I think some readers or some chatters have mentioned that they're listening about that feedback, and they might make a few adjustments. But I don't know if they've already implemented those, because one of the things that they changed was the checkpoints. Like you can actually run into the checkpoints during a map and you can swap around in it and stuff. But for me, I'm still like spending 10 minutes a map, which is crazy. Like I think a pit run in Diablo 2 was something like 6 minutes or 5 minutes or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I did go a little rambly there, but yes, to answer your question, yes, I do have a day job. It's in software and I work from home. Though I'm not a developer. Yeah, so I'm not that technical. Return the ancient statue. Oh snap. Why am I not getting the blood orbs? It's such a tight space. Yeah, I can't imagine if I didn't have a day job. Like, just be playing this all day. I would be able to play multiple games if that was definitely the case. But unfortunately, my YouTube videos and my YouTube channel, they don't make a lot of money. So I must rely on my full daytime job in order to survive. You might say that I am a struggling artist. But that's okay. YM says AI is coming. Oh man, you know, like AI is coming for AI. All right, I do follow a lot of the tech trends, right? I mean, like I said, I'm in the market for a 5000 series card, just because I want to do multi-streaming. Because yeah, that's something that I'm very interested in. But then having more power for my editing machine, I don't feel constrained, and I don't really feel the annoyances of editing on my computer. So that is very nice, I think. But yeah, the reason why, so I have everything set up on my computer to multi-stream to Twitch and YouTube, but since I'm multi-streaming to horizontal and vertical, that like maxes out my computer. And when I play Diablo 4, I sometimes get a message from OBS saying that my encoder, my encoder is overloaded, and I'm like, I keep downgrading the settings, and it's like screwing me up. But yeah. 500 billion lol. Then there's that Stargate 7 trillion. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, so like my interaction with AI is through the stock market. So I have investments in the S&P 500 and the total stock market index. So I'm basically a safe investor, you could say. I don't have stocks in Nvidia or any sort of single stock like that. However, I do have some stock in AMD, but that was from like a long time ago. I invested in AMD like back in 2020 when everyone was trying to get a 30 series GPU. And when that GPU came out, a lot of people were upgrading their computer. And in hearing the conversation, I'm like, wow, people are still underestimating AMD, which is crazy to me. So I'm like, okay, we need to get into AMD right now. So yeah, so I do have one direct stock. It's not even that much, but yeah, it's fine. So yeah, when AI goes up, I go up because of the S&P 500. And the S&P 500, it's sort of tech heavy right now as far as the tech stocks go. But yeah, when Nvidia goes up, I also go up. But I don't have like straight up stocks inside of those markets, or sorry, inside those companies. I do it broadly. So yeah, when that DeepSeek AI came out and the whole market dropped, yes, that did affect my portfolio. Which, yeah, unfortunate. Nvidia went down like what, 17% that day, but I only went down like 6% or something, or 5%, which, I mean, for an index is actually a really, really huge movement, but it's not as bad as 17%. Yeah. So yeah, and then there was a few videos that popped up in my feed about the new DeepSeek AI and how it's an open source project and how they were able to train it super cheaply compared to what the American companies are doing. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Yo, Lord Tarkov, how you doing, good sir? Long time no see. I got lucky with Nvidia. I got 21 shares. Like 2 months before the 1-to-10 split. Damn. So you got 210 shares now. Wayne says Nvidia lost $600 billion. Yeah, 17% is $600 billion. That's a crazy amount. Tarnum says, "What's good, man? Been doing well. Just happened to see you were live. Ah, very nice. Yeah, I was making some Path of Exile content, and it's not as my Path of Exile content is not as popular as my Diablo 4 content, which is kind of weird. But I make a very, very specific kind of video, and there are a few things that I guess I'm still learning about the YouTube algorithm. If I had to guess why it's not getting a lot of views, is because the Diablo 4 audience is different than the PoE 2 audience. And there's not, I guess, as much overlap there. And I guess that's why I'm not getting that many views. But that's okay. I don't do my YouTube channel for views. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't let the views dictate the games that I want to play. So, yeah, like the whole reason why I switched to Path of Exile 2 is because I saw this article from, I think it was Games Radar. They were interviewing the director of Diablo 4, the one with the expansion, and they said something that really rubbed me the wrong way, where they said that they're gonna double down on the required multiplayer to help build community or something. Or that's how it came across. I don't actually know if that's what they said, but they said that, yeah, we're gonna double down including the required multiplayer, and that was like, that's not the right way to go about doing that. So I'm like, so I looked at Path of Exile, and I paid for the early access, and I started playing it. So, yeah. Yeah, so I'm not really a fan of that, but that's okay. I am putting together a video. I should be able to finish it today, and it'll be released tomorrow. Markov says, yeah, Blizzard is trolling us all. I don't think they're trolling. I think they legit are learning, but the experience, they don't have the experience of making a live service ARPG game. Okay, yeah, they did do a lot of stuff with Diablo 3, but there's a lot of turmoil with that, so we'll see. We shall see. I just, like, putting faith in Diablo 4 is what you're ultimately saying, or what you're really saying, is that you're putting faith in the people behind Diablo. And when you hear the leadership say stuff like that, where they're gonna double down on the required multiplayer aspects and the raid and all of that stuff, their vision for the game is something that I don't necessarily want to play, which is really bad, unfortunately. That's like super bad. Yeah. But yeah, but I mean, the world goes on, life goes on, and they are listening, but that is like a step back. I have no idea. Enough says yes, and that's why I think they're trolling us all. The expansion made me feel like I got scammed because the campaign dialogue, the cinematics, lack of true Mephisto. So yeah, I personally didn't have high hopes for the expansion. In terms of the story, but because like what I said before when Diablo 4 was released was, look, Diablo 2 feels exactly the same way as Diablo 4 right now. And it took until an expansion, Lord of Destruction, to come out. And right, yeah, and it took Lord of Destruction to come out for them to introduce all the stuff that we all love about Diablo 2. Right? Talking about ethereal items, the elite level gear, the rune words, right? All of that stuff was introduced in Lord of Destruction, and I'm like, okay, Diablo 4 can do the same thing with its expansion, right? When Vessel of Hatred comes out, it can like this could be the expansion that introduces everything that we will love about Diablo 4 and going forward. Now, the backlash was so harsh that Blizzard felt like they needed to respond as soon as possible. So instead of all of those good changes coming out in an expansion, they did it in season 4 instead. And I was like, holy shit, like Loot Reborn, there's a lot of good stuff in Loot Reborn, right? Like the codex changes, the greater affixes, the masterworking, like all of that's good. And I actually like that system more, the greater affix system and the masterworking more than like the Path of Exile 2, where you're just identifying items and then you identify items again. And like you keep going until you get all the affixes that you're looking for. Right. So I'm like, okay. I think so. Yeah, it was when season 4 came out. I'm like, okay, I hope that they are like, maybe they'll have something up their sleeve, but the stuff that was introduced in season 4 is stuff that I would expect in the expansion. Like, yeah, for that stuff to come out in the expansion. But they were like, we need to get this out now. We're changing our roadmap to address all of these problems. So after that, I was like, okay, maybe Vessel of Hatred will just introduce like a whole bunch of more unique items or whatever. But they were at capacity when they released season 4. Or yeah, when they were cooking season 4. And so they don't really have anything down the pipeline. It was like all hands on deck situation from what it felt like. So when they were announcing Vessel of Hatred and showcasing all of the features and stuff like that, I don't know, I started to think more and more. Okay, I'm like, okay, maybe not. And all the stuff that they were showcasing for season 4, or sorry, for Vessel of Hatred, felt like residual decisions that were made before Diablo 1, or sorry, before Diablo 4, the base game, was released. And that, I hope, is true. Like, that might be copium or hopium, right? Like, okay. Because I do remember hearing them talking about how they're working on an expansion before Diablo 4 was actually released. And so I was hoping that like the raid and all of that stuff was sort of the last remnants of the decision making made for Diablo 4 that like essentially made Diablo 4 a mediocre game, right? Like just get out of their system, because they were working on it before they even were able to incorporate any sort of feedback, because the game wasn't released yet. And it's like, no, when I read the article, I'm just like, God fucking damn it. Why do they say this shit? They legit don't know what they're doing when they say that. Like, that's how I feel. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. So, yeah, maybe the feedback is not being incorporated as much as they made it seem when season 4 was released, but only time will tell. Yo, Janko, what's going on, dude? Welcome to the stream. It's been a while. Jungle says, hi man, hope you are good. You don't lag? I lag as fuck. Nope. No lag here. You can't see it, but I do have the latency in the corner, and I'm at 30 ping. Yo, Bob. How's it going, good sir? Bob says, yo, in the life. Waiting for my lunch. How you doing? I'm doing a-okay. I'm just farming for living steel and distilled fears. But I am worried about how I'm gonna get my exquisite bloods. Because yeah, I do want to do the 100 runs of each of the ladder bosses. Monk says, yeah, I've been waiting for season 7, having fun, but a little bit same old, same old. Hope they get some more content soon. Oh, yeah, it seems like it was all hands on deck for the release. And yeah, there's some cool things about the season, but they need to focus more on the items. I mean, I don't know if they're going to have the equivalent of a Loot Reborn every year, but that's kind of what it seems like. If they do have the equivalent of Loot Reborn, not necessarily revamping the systems, right? I don't think they need to get rid of like the greater affixes or whatever, but here's what I would want to see from a Loot Reborn 3.0. Okay, and it's the same thing that they did in it'd be the same thing that they did for Lord of Destruction and Diablo 2, where they change maybe one or two things, but they just add a whole crap ton of new gear that you can just farm, right? And not target farm, but like maybe it's Nightmare Dungeon Loot Reborn, right? Because Nightmare Dungeon, you do that for the Obdicite, but if they add like a whole new set of gear, like maybe 5 or 6 mythic items in the game that you can't get from Andariel and Duriel, but just throw them in the Nightmare Dungeon and also everywhere else in the world, right? And then like plus maybe 20 new uniques for each class or something like that. Like I know that's a lot of, I know that's a super shit ton of items, but if they do that, I'd be really, really happy with the game. Like they don't even need to change any of the things, right? Like the whole gameplay loop of, you know, doing a helltide and all of that, doing nightmare dungeons, I think it's fine as is. The main thing that needs to be worked on is a reward loop. Reward loop needs some work, the pacing. So yeah. Bob Mallow says, I found a Shaco and a helltide yesterday. Damn! How is that possible? An orange chest. That's crazy. Congratulations on that. Wow. Bob says, they should buff Uber Unique in the world. D4, not just bossing. Drop like D2R. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was saying. Is they need to introduce like a whole new set of mythic uniques that you can't target farm from the bosses. So I think all the mythic uniques right now, so like the Shroud of False Death, the Nesakim the Herald, and all of the new ones, the Shackle, the Tyrio's Might, like those can stay as is. So if you want a mythic unique, you can get that from the ladder bosses, but then they need to introduce new ones that you can't get from the ladder bosses, and those need to be dropping like in D2R, right? Where they, because they implemented the Shackle and it's like it's just a world drop. Yeah, it's just a world drop. Yeah, like they need another set of gear with that status. And yeah, if they do that, like, oh my god, I'll do 1,000 nightmare dungeons, like for real. Junko says, yeah, true enough, they need new gear. Now it's the same gear that is shit anyways, never included in any builds, so it's just fill. I don't think so. I mean, every single unique in the game and every single mythic unique in the game is target farmable. So that is the issue. It's way too easy to just get your final build because it's too deterministic for me. You're like, okay, once I farm the 1200 the 1200 living steel, I can do 100 Grigors, and whatever I'm target farming for Grigor, I'm definitely going to get whatever I need. And that is, I think, way too deterministic. Yeah. So, and then also decreasing the multiplayer advantage is something that I think they need to do as well. Yeah. Lord Tarkov says, unfortunately, D4 is made with a lot more casual couch co-op console players of mine who play maybe 2 to 5 hours a week, which is great for the audience, but really alienates the D2 fan base. Sure, but like, that's why I say it needs to be a whole new set of gear, or they shuffle it around, right? They introduce maybe 4 or 5 more mythic unique items and shuffle it around to say, okay, these are the items that you can get from Duriel and Andariel. These other ones you have to find naturally, right? And maybe put the drop rate like, okay, you can expect to find one in maybe 500 nightmare dungeons or something like that. Yeah. Someone says, what I'm saying is I feel like it's the same builds every season. Some items are never used in any of the top builds, so it's just another season, another grind, and that's fine. But when you get target farming the same items every season, what's the fun? Yeah. I think the builds definitely changed for sure. I mean, this build that I'm using right now definitely did not exist because it's enabled by this new unique item that was introduced. Right? So that is something that's different. But I guess for your point, I actually made a short about this where I was comparing the PoE 2 community with the Diablo 4 community, and a lot of Path of Exile 2 players were very, very offended with what I had to say because they're like snowflakes, I guess. But for the Diablo 4 community, right? Like every time I post a video, I'm like, oh, I do 100 Andariel runs, or I do 100 Duriel runs, right? Or I do 100 Varshans, and I found no mythic uniques. Whenever I post a video, a lot of the comments are basically saying, like, this video is a perfect example of why Diablo 4 is the worst game ever. the drop rates are too rare, and Blizzard needs to get their heads out of their asses and up the drop rates. And I'm like, okay, that's one community, right, where they're just a bunch of entitled little babies. But then I was like, yeah, but whenever I post a Path of Exile 2 video, the comments are not saying that the game's a problem, like Diablo 4 players say, but the comments are saying that I'm the problem, right? It's like, oh my god, why are you playing this build? Why don't you have this ability? Why don't you use a loot filter? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's like, what the fuck? Okay. And yeah, a lot of people are like, I basically said that, you know, those comments make the game feel not welcoming, and they all came in and essentially proved my point, saying, oh, I'm wrong for feeling this way. Like, you need to change the way you feel. And I'm just like, are you lacking self-awareness on purpose? Because this is absolutely hilarious. Thank you for commenting and proving my point right. And it's just absolutely crazy. So, yeah. Trump says, lol, I saw some of those angry guys in the comments. Oh, yeah. It was like, way to fail the test. Young says, I disagree on the drop rates. It's so easy to get an Uber. It should be like, wow, I got an Uber. Yeah. But that's what I'm kind of saying, right? Like, you don't necessarily need the color, but they've had the colors now. But there needs to be a whole set of gear that you can't target farm, and these are like the stronger versions of the uniques. I remember playing Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like, there's these rarities in the cards that are like, you have the common, the uncommon, you have the ultra, or no, you have the common, you have the rare, and then you have the ultra rare, and then the secret ultra rare. And the secret ultra rare, there's only like 2 cards in the set that have that rarity, right? And those are supposed to be the most rare ones, but the ultra rares, like, there's actually 1, maybe 2 cards in the ultra rare category that are actually more powerful and harder to get than the secret rares. And the game can sort of do the same thing here, where maybe it doesn't have to be a mythic unique, but maybe it could just be a regular unique that is just much harder to find, but also much more powerful. But that does confuse some people. People, like, they just want to equip the color because it's the color or whatever. Yeah. Young says, too many are just negative. I love Diablo, chilling and killing and having fun. It feels a bit too repetitive at the time, that's all. Sure. But that's what Diablo is. It's a grinding game, so you do the same thing over and over and over again. So, yeah. So yeah, if you're complaining about the repetitiveness, then you might be playing the wrong game. But yeah, if you can have a grinding game that does not feel repetitive, that'll be an achievement all on itself. No says, I know you would say that. I still feel like there should be more diversity in the seasons. Yeah, and that's kind of like what Diablo 2 did very, very well. Which is that even though like you couldn't target farm anything, it gave reasons for you to do different areas. So there were like cow runs, right? And then there was also Tristram runs. There was Mephisto runs. There were Bale runs, Chaos runs. Like you can run kind of whatever you wanted, even though it all had the same sort of loot pool. And Path of Exile doesn't do that, though it kind of has the steps for that. Like I thought, I was like, oh, okay, I can sort of see this being like Diablo 2 in a sense. Like you can run this area over and over and over again, and then that'll be like a set of runs. But like no, you just go straight into the maps and that's it. Like they've made things more homogenized, or yeah, it was like more homogenized by calling everything just maps rather than letting places have character. So that's very unfortunate. Frank says that's why for D4 I just limit to one character per season, so I don't get the same satisfaction. I don't get the same satisfaction as D2R. I think it's because I grew up playing Lord of Destruction for thousands of hours. That could be true, but there are some things that no one has really even recreated in Diablo 2. And I was just saying, right, like you can just choose an area and just farm that, and that'll be like a set of runs, which is pretty awesome. Even though everything drops sort of that same loot, like you can't do that here. So like they're having you sort of choose in Diablo 4, right? So you can do Ninebear dungeons, Whispers, Helltides, Inferno Hordes, ladder bosses, and there's a lot of choice there and stuff, but there's no variety with those choices. It's the game, or the game developers telling you what options there are rather than what Diablo 2 did, which is kind of let the players decide what the routes could be, because there could be a way more infinite amount of variety there, which is why it feels good, because they didn't try to do that. No one says, I need to go. Good luck, man. I like peeking in here once in a while. Again, appreciate your meetings. Yo, thanks for stopping by, good sir. I'll catch you later. Lord Tarkov says, I will say playing D2R modded with those massive loot expansion mods made it feel like a brand new expansion again. I'm really hopeful that Blizzard will loosen the restrictions on modding. You're talking about for Resurrected? Because I thought I did see some mods for Resurrected, so you can play Diablo 2 with like the new shiny graphics. Yeah, because I can tell you for sure, with Diablo 4 being always online, mods are not happening for Diablo 4. Yeah, absolutely. It says, yeah, there's a lot of D2R mods, but they're heavily restricted and there's no such thing as open BNet, so you don't have the option to play with friends at the moment. Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm not really one for mods, so I don't really play. I have not played Project Diablo 2 or whatever the other ones are. Yeah, I've not played any of those at all. I have thought about playing Project Diablo 2 as well. The main thing is like and I completely understand why the game developers do this, but yeah, the game developers right now, they have all of those things um wait, hold on. I think this way. Yeah, they want to sort of guide you in their little sort of theme parks as far as what the end game means, right? So like if you were to do Nightmare Dungeons, they have like a whole system set up for you to do that because they can then support it a lot better with like the repetitive nature versus, just letting you explore the open world and have you find the most efficient way to farm whatever X, Y, and Z. But that requires um, you to make the game that much more rich as a developer, right? Because like I remember like in Diablo 2 initially before Lord of Destruction, the only thing that you did was cow runs and that's it. And like yeah, did that for years. But the game's evolved, so now like there's the terror zones and all of that, which I guess is cool, but the the game like can we have something that's like better? I don't know, but like I don't feel bad for, or sorry, I don't envy the position that the game developers are in because it's really hard to get feedback because people say one thing, Blizzard does it, and then they're like, "That this is not what we wanted." Like, yeah, so it's really hard to know who to listen to. Yeah. Oh well, like yeah, Act 6. Asmondet has to be knocking around somewhere, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what they can do for Diablo 2. I think Diablo 2, its systems are too outdated. Um, yeah, like people say they want Diablo 2, but what they really want is they want to go back in time. The yeah, cause yeah, and I think that was the same way with World of Warcraft as well. Like people were excited about playing World of Warcraft Classic, but what they wanted to do was just go back in time with the knowledge that they have today. But everyone was doing that in the same. Yeah, everyone was doing that, and it's not the same. So for the wait, did I? Okay, yeah. So for Diablo 2, it was great for like a few months, but then no one's playing Diablo 2 now. Like it's back to its irrelevance, the same level of relevance as regular Diablo 2, and they put all this effort into putting a fresh coat of paint on it to drum up all sorts of support. And yeah, it was cool for a few months, but people aren't looking for a game that they can play for a few months, right? like a lot of people, I remember like they were coming into the chat and they're like, "Oh, is Diablo 4 like a good game?" And I'm like, "Well, it kind of depends on what you're looking for. What are you looking for?" And they say, "Oh, I don't know what they're looking for." And I'm like, "Okay, well, if you're looking for a game that you can just buy once and play for 20 years and it'll keep your interest for 20 years, right? Diablo, it's a gamble with Diablo because what you're really doing is you're putting your trust into the developers. So if you trust the developers, then you can play Diablo 4 and that'll fulfill that wish for you. But if not, then it won't. And when I said that, he was like, "Yes, that is exactly what I'm looking for. I want a game that I can play for 20 years." And that's a really hard ask. Right? Like, yeah, you can design systems that increase replayability all you want and do whatever, but like it's just really hard. Tarkov says, well, younger people, absolutely not. We are in the age of instant gratification. Yeah, and Diablo 4 sort of fits that model a lot more than than Path of Exile 2. Diablo 4 fits that instant gratification model a lot more than than Path of Exile 2, 100%. Stardew Valley, probably the only game that fits that description. I've never played Stardew Valley. But yeah, that farming game. My brother, he's played those farming games, but he didn't play Stardew Valley. He played a game on the NES called Harvest Moon. Okay, and I didn't get it, but like he was like farming the crops and stuff. Yeah, he really enjoyed it. Yeah. Again, that scratches a nostalgia itch from Harvest Moon. Yeah. Yeah. I think people are they just want to go back in time and that's it. That's ultimately what everyone wants to do. Right? Yeah. But as far as an ideal game, I think if I were to choose to between Path of Exile and Diablo 4, like what would be a much more ideal, or what's closer to being a more ideal ARPG? That's kind of a tough one. I think in terms of position, right? I think Diablo 4 is closer to being, or rather, yeah, Diablo 4 I think is closer to being an ideal RPG than Path of Exile 2. And what I mean by that is, in terms of the changes that you need to make to the game to reach that god tier ARPG status, Diablo 4 has less changes to make than Path of Exile does. Right? Because honestly, I think all they need to do is just introduce like 50 more items, right? 5 which are mythic uniques that just cannot be target farmed. Throw them out in the world. Have a drop rate that you can reasonably expect to get it. And I think you're done. Right? The whole masterworking and the materials and all of that stuff, I think is totally fine. And that is all I would really be looking for out of Diablo, right? Just don't give me all the stuff by letting me target farm everything, right? Also, they need to get their numbers under control. Like they also don't have the damage numbers under control. Like every season, something's always broken, so they can't really make great boss fights or anything because everything just instantly dies. And that's very, very unfortunate. But Yeah, but the downside of that is, you know, you have to trust that the developers are going to make the decisions that you want for the game. That'll make the game better. And I don't know if they're able to do that. I would have much more trust in the PoE developers to make that choice or make the correct choices. But as far as like being very, very punishing, I mean, I guess if that's what they want to do, then I guess more power to them. Because yeah, Path of Exile 2 will be a much more enjoyable game once the game's figured out and there's like guides for every season. And once you have all of that, you just follow the guide and then you can just fulfill the power, like feel the power spikes as you would sort of go through naturally when you're just finding the gear. But they have a lot more to change for that. I think the hurdle of having such a large learning curve, I'll bet, although it is a lesser, easier learning curve than Path of Exile 1, I would imagine, I think it's still way too high for it to be a mainstream game. Tarkov says Diablo 4 in its current state, but I bet when PoE 2 is in 1.0, it'll be much more of a competitor. Sure, yeah. I mean, they have a lot of changes that they still have to make to the game. 100%. Tarkov says, yeah, after the D4 expansion, I don't know if I'll buy any more Diablo stuff before it gets placed on sale. Well, it kind of depends on the decisions that they make, right? If Diablo 4's expansions are like Vessel of Hatred expansions on that level of quality and they don't become more efficient and, you know, make the game more of an ARPG rather than an MMORPG, then I would probably be in that same boat as well. But yeah, they're in a good spot, especially with everything that they've done for 2.0. It's just, yeah, they just need to get a handle on their design where people aren't hitting for billions and billions of damage all the time, and so that way they can design like better boss battles and stuff. But the Path of Exile 2 developers, they have a lot more work ahead of themselves. So yeah, if we're giving like a 10-year time frame, then I would put my money on Path of Exile developers to be making the right choice over Diablo. But we'll see where it goes. And maybe, you know, with everyone saying Diablo 4 is the casual version and Path of Exile 2 is the sweat version, if that's what it turns out to be, then they'll just fulfill their niches, you know. But like what I would want out of a game, like out of a Diablo game, personally for me, is something that I just log in, I farm for something that I want, and I just farm and do whatever activity that I want to do. And if it doesn't let me do that, which there are some things that doesn't let me do that right now, then that'll be really, really upsetting for me. Like the whole concept of weekly rewards, get that shit out of ARPGs. Like, this is not an MMO. Alright, I don't want to do dailies, I don't want to do weeklies, I just want to farm, and that's it. Yeah, and like the main thing that I like, and ultimately, like, I just want, I guess, Diablo 4 in terms of success. Like, I want Diablo 4 to be as successful as World of Warcraft, right? Like, World of Warcraft was one of the best success stories in the MMO space. So much so that, like, you know, There's a South Park episode about it. It's kind of mainstream, or like it's just kind of referenced in mainstream culture. And you know, like I've seen other TV shows talk about World of Warcraft and all of that stuff. Like I want Diablo to kind of have that level of success where, you know, it just goes mainstream and all of that. And when it comes to thinking about that kind of success, that level of success for Path of Exile 2, I don't think that's ever going to happen for Path of Exile 2, right? I think it's just way too niche, and the way they designed the game, it has stayed niche, so it'll never reach that level of, yeah, it'll never reach that level. I mean, yeah, Diablo 4 has more of a chance to kind of be that successful, I guess, quote unquote successful, than Path of Exile, mainly because the what is it? Because the IP is really strong still. The Diablo IP is just incredible. What an incredible advantage to have. But we'll just have to see. There's nothing we can really do about it. Aside from, I guess, give the feedback. Oh, I was lagging. Oh, I'm lagging right now. What's happening?
You saved my life. It's what I do.
Wouldn't have made it without you.
Oh. Wait. Oh. I opened up a little chest when I thought I saved the little prisoner.
Bless you.
Wouldn't have made it without you.
Alright, travel to the Dark Descent, boys. Garen, hold, baby. Hmm. Yo, Party RD. What's going on, good sir? He says, hey sir, your farming skills and dedication taught me patience. Oh yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm glad it helps. I am just simply doing my thing here. Farming for distilled fears and living steels. Yeah. He says, I'm hyped for Tuesday's lunar event. I'm diving back into Diablo 4 this week. Ah, very nice. Yeah, I am not playing as much as I want to recently because of the release of the 5000 series cards, right? Unfortunately, it's been a paper launch, so there's like absolutely no supply whatsoever anywhere. And so I've been spending my time refreshing the web pages in order to try and get one rather than actually farming the game. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate for me. I need to be patient, right? But I'm not being patient when it comes to those Nvidia graphics cards. Okay, I've built a new computer. I've put it all together except for the GPU. I am just waiting on that. So I'm like, it's pretty hard because it's either I farm for it or I just start F5ing. So yeah, my patience is being tested very much so recently, but hopefully I'll get it. But we'll have to see. Yeah. It is what it is, though. But yeah, I'm enjoying the game. The new witch powers are cool. Necro is really strong, but I haven't checked the leaderboard to see if there's a strong one. I think barbarians are actually really strong right now too. So if you wanted to get in on some barbarian action, that is definitely an option for sure. All right.
This should be interesting.
This should be interesting. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about getting back into World of Warcraft actually, and farming there because yeah, after playing Path of Exile and then playing Diablo 4, it's just like really. But farming mounts is a thing, and I think I can handle that. Yeah, but I would want to play World of Warcraft hardcore. I actually don't know. Cause I only got to level 34 on my warrior, there. And I wanna try to get to level 60. The helltide will recede in 5 minutes. Alright, very nice. I'm stealthing around like a little rogue. Here we go. He says F5 refresh. F5. Yeah, that's what I was doing. So yeah, and that's actually how I have my video card right now, because I have learned a few things from getting the 30 series cards, and I'm hoping that some of those learnings I can apply to the 5000 series cards. I have a Zotac card, and I'll probably be getting another Zotac card. Although the reviews for the Zotac cards aren't very great right now, which is unfortunate. I hear that it's like the loudest out of all of them, and it doesn't cool as well, which is, yeah, very, very unfortunate indeed. But that's okay. I undervolt right now my 3080, and I'll probably undervolt the 5000 series cards as well. Cause yeah, I only have a 1000 watts power supply, and I hear some things that some people are saying that yeah, you're probably better off with a 1200 watt one if you're overclocking or something, and I'm like, god damn, that's so crazy. But yep. So yeah, I'll be playing a lot less, trying to get this video card in the next few weeks. Keeping track of like, yeah, I have like all the trackers up and everything. It's not great.
That looks worn.
I can there's that.
All right. I skipped a whole generation, and now I feel like I need to upgrade. I need to search these slain villager bodies. Nope. That is a negative. Oh,
Want someone or something found, you find me.
I saw the body, but I didn't search for it right away. I had to go back. Boom, baby. Okay. Ah, the exquisite bloods. Yes. Ah, those are the rare ones. Damn. All right. Oh yeah, those big corpse tendrils are actually quite useful. Oh, I need to find the last enforcer. There it is. Three essence on kill.
It is done.
What? A Chak rune? Huh. I don't remember seeing that. Alright. Oh. I see. Oh, the helltide assassin. Get assassinated. Ah, 2-star ring, baby. So I don't think those are the stats I'm looking for.
Formidable.
Yo, namaste. Welcome to the stream. It's been a while. Namaste says, hey, what's up? Long time no see. Yeah, long time no see indeed. How are you doing, good sir? What's new with you? Yeah, I'm just trying to do my season 7 stuff. Right? Do the ladder bosses. and I think that's it. So right now I'm farming living steel and distilled fears. All right. Hellborns, Harbingers. Okay. Rosa says, nothing much, enjoying the new Diablo season. Nice. Are you playing a Necro like I am? Though there are some strong classes this time around, like the Barbarian is really strong. Druid's really strong. People thought Rogue was going to be strong, but it's not working as well as they thought. But no, Barbarian all the way. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very nice indeed. I was playing the minions to level up, and that was very, very nice. But other than that, I have not done much of anything else. I was trying to... Yeah, I haven't been playing as much as I would want to. Oh, 2 hearts, okay. Mainly because I've been trying to get the new video card. But, you know, it is what it is. Just gotta refresh them pages, wait around for them drops. Says, why don't you do Tribute of the Titans? Actually, I was wondering how I was gonna farm the Exquisite Bloods, but Tribute of the Titans is actually a very good idea. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, well, I mean, I am towards the end of the stream anyways, so I'll probably do Tribute of the Titans later, because that'll be excellent. Yeah. Now, what I do need to find are the altars, or the spires. Yeah, because like I haven't killed much of the ladder bosses for Tribute of Titan, so I actually don't even know how much I have. I probably have like, I don't know. I need to check. Okay, 19. 19 is probably what I have. Much faster, and you get secondary materials like shard and shackles straight away. Yeah, that does make sense. But I would really just be looking for the Exquisite Bloods. That's the one that I need. 100%. Oh, I slay the Harbingers. Okay. Yeah, I don't necessarily feel like I need to farm the secondary materials because I plan on killing the bosses anyways. So that is not much of a concern for me. Though I do need the Exquisite Bloods. I don't need the shackles. I just need the straight up Exquisite Bloods. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
You can still use these.
Oh wait. Oh my god. I called the Hellborn, except I didn't get the credit for it. Because my Grim Favors log was full. Huh. Oh well. Yo, Leroy! Welcome to the stream. How you doing, good sir? Leroy asks, what about PoE 2, fa? Wait, what about it? Do you have a specific question? Because, yeah, I mean, I can say that I've tried Path of Exile 2, and I have formed my opinion about it. I've made a few videos about it, and now I'm playing Diablo 4. So yeah, if you have a specific question, I can answer that, but right now I'm playing Diablo 4, making my videos, my little videos.
At least I can put my skills to use.
Namasek says, PoE 2 still need a lot of tuning and work to be good. Yeah, I mean, but it is, to be fair, it is in early access, so... Yeah. Leroy says, gotcha. Gonna head back to PoE 2 current season or done with it for now? So, I don't know. I don't think they have a set schedule for when they are gonna like reset the economy and stuff. So yeah, I don't necessarily have plans. If I do everything that I want to do in Diablo 4 Season 7, because like yeah, I want to do these more than I want to play Path of Exile 2 right now. And yeah, so if I do everything I want to do there, or rather here, then I have a question of whether or not to go back to PoE 2 and continue to farm for the Everlasting Gaze, or play World of Warcraft instead. So right now, yeah, for me, Path of Exile 2 is competing with World of Warcraft. I don't know if I want to play World of Warcraft again. I mean, I did enjoy the little bit that I played when I was playing hardcore and all of that. But yeah, like if I were to play hardcore and like that'll just be for fun, and I'll just be playing by myself with that. But yeah, for Path of Exile 2, like I don't know. All there is right now is just maps, and that's it. I haven't tried any of the pinnacle bosses or whatever, but like yeah, I was talking to my friend about it a little bit, and he was like, oh yeah, you need to... He's only played Path of Exile 1, and he was like, yeah, like the videos that you need to make are like 200 pinnacle bosses, and I don't know how, if it's different, but it's just like the time commitment that you need to make videos that people actually want to watch is a lot more than I can commit to, right? Because he's the kind of player that would play for like 16 hours a day, so you're like you're talking thousands and thousands of maps, and you need to be highlighting divines and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, doing 100 maps for me, after I've sort of established my build a little bit, took me 16, 17 hours to do. That's a lot of time for a video, right? And I think like that last one where I was like counting the chaos orbs, I know like people don't really care about the stats and stuff or something like that, but yeah, that took me 16 hours to count the chaos orbs. I'm like, and that's what that was. So yeah, I don't know if I have the time to commit to being like, oh, I'm gonna do the pinnacle boss 200 times, but that was from a Path of Exile 1 player's perspective who's never played PoE 2, so he doesn't really understand as well as he should to be making those kind of suggestions of like, oh, yeah, 200 pinnacle bosses, that's what you need to do. Like, oh, well, I haven't even done one, and I've already played for 200 hours leveling, or 250 hours leveling, so I guess I'm not one to make PoE 2 content. But we'll see. Yeah, I like. Yeah, so it is what it is. I mean, Path of Exile is a good game, but it's really hard for me to blanket recommend that to everybody. I can't. It's not that good where I don't need to know anything about you to definitely say, oh yeah, Path of Exile 2 is a blanket recommendation over Diablo 4. Not even close. All right, so right here, here's the last one, baby. Oh, treasure goblin. Oh, this druid, he's having trouble. All right, 16. All right, yo, that's it for me, guys. Thanks for chilling. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.